I need roadies to set this all up. The song is ended, but as the songwriter wrote, the melody lingers on. The saddest words that anyone has ever sung are, "Lord, what might have been." My mom, who has been dead now for 13 years, called this time of year the song-interrupted season. When somebody would die, she would always say their song was interrupted. Late October is filled with so many remembrances of death and departed ones. We've got All Souls Day, then All Saints Day, El Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, Samhain, and Halloween. And so, for my mom, who loved this season and the yellows and the oranges of this time of year, this season became the song-interrupted season. In the spirit of this song-interrupted season, I want to share with you the story of a jazz singer and a song interrupted. I do so with the warning that the story mentions death by suicide, which may be a trigger for some of us. I first heard jazz singer Susannah McCorkle about 35 years ago, at this time of year in mid-October, when I was working as a radio broadcaster and theater producer in Boston, Massachusetts. I can still remember the first song I heard her sing. It was called "The People That You Never Get to Love." The people that you never get to love. She sang of the human ache of living with lost potential. Her voice was smooth and caressing, but filled with this unmistakable sadness. It was as if the cumulative regret of the universe had found a simple, unadored, gentle doorway to cry through. Susannah McCorkle vibrated with the loss that we feel when we do not risk, as Floyd talked about, choosing life, when we do not risk making a connection with each other. Her voice so slowly swung through the sounds of the song. She sang of a chance encounter in a used bookstore. Now, we've all been in used bookstores. Some of us may have had a chance encounter there. But she sang of this bookstore. She sang of this two people seeing each other, and then a fleeting moment of missed opportunity. She sang about several different vignettes with missed moments of connection. And yet she somehow sang of so much more. These are the words she sang in that song. You're browsing in a second-hand bookstore, and you see him in nonfiction, V through Y. He looks up from World War II, and then you catch him catching you, catching his eye. So you quickly turn away your wishful stare, and you take a sudden interest in your shoes. If you only had the courage, but you don't, and he turns and leaves, and you both lose. Or you'll see him on a train that you've just missed, or at a bus stop where your bus will never stop. And you think about the people that you never get to love. It's not as if you even have a chance. So many worth a second life, but rarely do. Or you'll share an elevator, just you two, and you'll rise in total silence to the floor. Like the fool you are, you get off, and she leaves behind your life, behind a closing door. And you think about the people that you never get to love, the poem you intended to begin. The saddest words that anyone has ever said are, "Lord, what might have been." And you think about the people you never get to love. Now, Susanna McCorkle also sang songs about the people you do get to love. Her jazz repertoire included an astounding 3,000 songs known by heart, 200 of which she recorded on 17 albums. Her songs were by Cole Porter, George Gershwin, Irving Berlin, the songwriters of the great American songbook that I know some of us love so much. Her songs were also by more contemporary composers, at least at that time, 35 years ago. They were contemporaries such as Billy Strayhorn, Dave Frishberg, and Paul Simon. Her songs, too, were multicultural and reflected her love of Brazilian pop, and a performance of Susanna's would most often include some Portuguese song lyrics. I wish you could have heard her sing. How do you describe this voice? There was no artifice, no spotlight on her personality. She simply served the melody and the lyric. Her voice was so light as it floated among the notes, yet weighed down with this palpable melancholy. She tended to hang back behind the beat, moving like a stealthy cat stalking her prey. Entering into a song with her was like waiting in the pause before the pounce. You quivered in anticipation, and then you were sprung into her sharp but luscious embrace. Susanna McCorkle was born on January 4th, 1946 in Berkeley, California, just a few hours from here. Her father, an anthropologist, took teaching positions at colleges around the country, and that was hard on her while she was growing up because she never felt like she belonged anywhere. She just kept moving. After high school, she enrolled at UC Berkeley, where she majored in Italian literature. Some of you may have been there at Berkeley at the same time, may have crossed paths with her. In the late 60s, disillusioned with American politics, and I wonder why, she dropped out of college and traveled to Europe studying languages and to begin a literary career. It was while living in Paris that she discovered American jazz for the first time when a friend played for her a recording of Billie Holiday singing "I've Got a Right to Sing the Blues." She was awestruck and inspired. She left Paris in 1972 and moved to London, where she began singing with the band. Before long, she was eking out a living performing in pubs. Jazz singing gave her a sense of belonging that had eluded her in her ordinary life. Before jazz, she said, I'd always been solitary and introverted. As a singer, I began meeting other people who were solitary and introverted, but who were also great jazz musicians. It was like finding my tribe. It was like finding my tribe. Sort of like when some of us stumbled upon this Unitarian Universalist church and discovered there were people who thought the way we did, and that there was a religion that was actually made up of people that think the way we do. Susanna returned to the United States in the late 1970s. championed by music critics and disc jockeys. And for those who don't know what disc jockeys were, because everything's now digital, those were the people who actually played the records. I actually remember the very first time I played not a record on the radio, but a CD. And we were like, what are these little tiny things? But it was people like myself who played her music, and she was able to have a modest but successful career. But this public success came at a price, and you probably know where this story is going. You can tell this captivating melancholy of her music rose from the overwhelming melancholy of her life. She struggled with lifelong depression. Her internal pain was compounded by a diagnosis of cancer. Despite the support of her friends and her doctors, Susanna believed that her pain had become too great for her to live with. On the early morning of May of 2001, she wrote a note, placed her will on her desk, walked over to the window of her 16th floor apartment on New York City's Upper West Side, and leapt to her death. For Susanna McCorkle and those who loved her, her song was tragically interrupted. The saddest words that anyone has ever sung are, "Lord, what might have been?" The saddest words that anyone might ever say, what might have been. Susanna McCorkle's death touched me deeply. It made me think about the songs that we all sing beneath the surface of our lives, the personal, painful songs sung only in the silent corners of our own heart, those isolated songs, the secret songs that separate one from another, the songs that keep us from belonging, the songs that keep us alone, the songs that keep us alone even when we have found our tribe. Her death made me think about all our different songs that have been interrupted in some way. The plans, the hopes, the dreams, the promises, and the loves in so many different forms. The songs that sing, "Lord, what might have been?" Today, some 20 years after her death, she makes me think about many things, but also how blessed we are at times to find human connection, when we claim human connection, when, as Floyd said, we really risk for a sense of belonging and true community. It reminds me how blessed we have been to have been led to this place, this spiritual sanctuary. Her death reminds me how fortunate we are to have this community, a spiritual community in which each of us can hope, heal, reflect, transform, love, learn, cry, grow, and sing our songs together. But being here takes a risk. It involves risk. Being here invites courage. Being here together needs participation. For unlike in Susanna's song, a spiritual community is not a used bookstore where we can hide in the stacks and stare at our shoes and let another chance just walk away. This spiritual community challenges each of us to sing our songs, the public ones, and yes, the private ones. This is a place where we hope every voice will be heard, will choose to be heard, even when we might seem slightly off key. Let's together risk singing our songs. Let's together keep singing our songs, telling our stories, hearing our stories without interruption. Let not one of us feel so isolated that a window seems our only option. Let us truly risk being together. And dear ones, it's a risk that we are in the process of learning how to do together. We had 18 months where we were all virtual, and now we are in person and virtual, but as we say, we are one congregation. So how can we be community? Take the risk to get connected when we must mask, when some of us must social distance. And some of the most amazing people you will ever meet who are now part of this congregation, you're only going to meet on the virtual campus because they have not the ability to be here, either because of distance or because of life circumstance. So, dear ones, don't let these people around you become the people that you never get to love. Take the risk to reach out. Say hello to somebody you don't know, and I know if you look around right now, there's somebody here you don't know. And on our virtual campus, if each of you typed your names onto the chat box, I know there's at least one person there that you do not know. And then, don't just say hello, but relationships begin, friendships begin, love begins when we actually take the time to listen, when we actually take the time to share. In these last 18 months of pandemic, I've been stunned to see the depth of profound connections that many people have made on our virtual campus through Zoom spirituality groups, Zoom chalice circles, worked in another plug for chalice circles there, Zoom discussion groups, Zoom classes and workshops that I and others led. These opportunities are being offered right now, many on the virtual campus and some on our Alluvial Avenue campus. Will you grow, deepen, and change by risking relationship with new ideas, new experiences, and new people? Our website, uufresno.org, uufresno.org, for those on our virtual campus. We have links to adult programs that can help you to grow spiritually. And we're in the process of putting together an awesome winter-spring program that will include something I'm so excited about, a course on animals and religion and their spiritual significance. Don't let these people around you become the people that you never get to love. Despite all of our imperfection and unskillfulness, look and listen beneath the surface to hear the beautiful humanity just waiting to be discovered. This church can be more than a spectator sport where you come on Sunday morning to soak up some spirituality and uplift and then disappear into our week. If we wish it, this place can be so much more. Don't let these people around you, and take a moment, just look around you. Look around you. Virtual campus, you got to use your imagination, I know. Don't let these be the people that you never get to love. Take the risk to share. You have gifts inside you that are more worthy than you can even imagine. What part of yourself can you bring and share with the spiritual community that will uplift us all? Floyd gives through his worship leading and reflection. Hannah, you give through your singing voice. Stolen Thunder gives through their musicianship. Helen, Mark, Patricia, Ellis, and Nancy on our Alluvial Ave campus, and Joya on our virtual campus, served by being greeters, ushers, and hosts for us. And so many more serve gratefully in so many ways. In fact, Daniel, Deborah, and Margaret, who have never set foot on this church campus but found us virtually during the pandemic, they have just signed up to serve gratefully as the newest members of our annual pledge drive team. Dear ones, church is not a spectator sport. Don't let these people around us become the people that we never get to love. Take the risk to care. Help someone who needs you now. Help them to sing again their song. Don't let the people who are around us become the people that we never get to love. There are so many people beyond these walls who need to feel the warmth and the light of our Unitarian Universalist faith. There are so many people beyond these walls who need to feel the caring embrace of this, our church community, a church that proudly flies the Progress flag, Pride flag, and the Black Lives Matter flag. There are so many people beyond these walls. How can we share what we have found here? How can we tell others that there is a place where the inherent worth and dignity of each person is celebrated, where the preciousness of the interdependent web of all creation is named and valued, and where we join together to nurture our spirit and help heal the world in small but important ways? Dear ones, Unitarian Universalism is the best kept secret in the world, when we should be shouting our religious values from the rooftops. In this time when the future of democracy and the very future of our planet are at risk, tell a friend today that you have a church and a religion that will inspire them, help them hope again, help them work for justice. Tell them that you have a religion that will rock their world in all the right ways. Don't let the people around us become the people that we never get to love. How can we heed the call of our Unitarian Universalist faith to work for justice, to stand publicly and proudly on the side of love? In what way can our caring hearts and helping hands combine to do something for others beyond ourselves, communities different from our own, so that we act in ways that expand the boundaries of our compassion and risk to empower the broken to rebuild themselves and motivate the marginalized to move a bit closer to the center from which they have previously been pushed away? How can we make a difference in the lives of those who are different and yet not so different from our own? How can we sing our song so loudly and proudly that all the communities in the Central Valley will hear its sound? For dear ones, I believe there is a song within us that is so mighty it has the power to move mountains. There is a song among us so gentle it has the power to make all things new. There is a song beyond us so loving it has the power to renew the face of the earth. Let no one ever say of us, Lord, what might have been. Let our song not be interrupted, but As the songwriter writes, let our song sing forever on. Que así sea, bendito sea. May it be so. Blessed be. No songs interrupted allowed here. Amen.